do things very random, but I thought I would just get to a couple of extra reads for you guys. So this one is going to be for Cancer. So I'm going to switch this out here. And this will be for, again, just whatever the current energy is that you're shifting into. I feel like this is where things are at. Sorry, guys. Again, it's just sort of a makeshift setup until such time that I get myself organized enough to do the rest of it. But anyway, this is what we're looking at right now is the Empress card. So I would say that the energy of whatever is currently on your mind that is perplexing or stressing you out has to do with a cycle that's completing. So something is about to stop, something's about to change, something is about to integrate all those lessons. And hi, Andrea, so nice to see you again. Thanks for showing up. But either way, I feel like this pattern of something larger. So it's an energetic pattern of a life cycle that's starting to complete. So you are also still in a bit of a range with, struggle of some sort. So whatever the situation is for you, there is still a bit of internal conflict or struggle or tension. It does show some kind of resistance or interference that's still present either way, but it is coming from you internally. This is not something that's externally wrong. It's something internally that you're blocking yourself. So there is, again, that interference, but it is creating a challenge for you. Remember that the fives are all about having to shift something, but it's also indicative of a passing phase, like something that's not of any great consequence. The bigger card out, of course, the World card, and that does tell me that you are in a significant change of an end cycle, getting past that conflict. So that would indicate, because that was your first card out, the Major Arcana, you are in that period now where you're completing the cycle. There may still be a residual present of something that is kind of hanging on, but for the most part, you are now moving into something that's more of a fertile period. So there is that energy of life force starting to return. There's more hope, there's more abundance. It's more of a nurturing energy of looking after yourself, taking care of yourself, starting to heal your body, all of those things that represent more of a natural flow. It's also a very creative time, things that are also wound around like sexual energy, all of that. So there is something internally that you're still struggling with, but you are coming out of it because the World card is your main card out. And that's where things are really prevalent. So again, the Empress is telling between the two internal struggle cards, or sorry, not between, but one internal struggle card between two very positive outcome cards is amazing. That means you're shifting, you're in that process. Now we also have the Five of Cups. So it does interfere as well, or connect to the other five. This is there's two fives here, which indicates that there is a shift that's emotional and a shift that's physical, and around your energy. So there's something here of, there being tension, struggle, or some kind of, obstruction that is caused by your mind. So there's something here again about you attempting to hold yourself back in some way by over focusing on something, because the Moon card tells me there is a lot of confusion around something that's blocking your natural energy that has to do with your mind, because the Moon is where you've got half the light, you have half of the story. So there's something here that is not permanent locked. It's just a matter of restoring based on you stopping yourself from over focusing on something. Now, there is an attempt to interfere again with that natural cycle of energy, but the Empress reminds you that energy that cannot be permanently blocked. Hi there, Nobit, Sharma. So there is a strong resilience here. There's abundance. There is a restorative energy. And with that World card, that lesson, the World card shows that this is part of a larger cycle. So the struggle, which is the Five of Wands, it's just temporary. And the Empress, of course, signals that you're reclaiming and you're nurturing your natural energy now, creatively and physically, all of that. So it's not about focusing on the interference. It's more about restoring the full flow and autonomy, but it has more to do with, yeah, this is the Cancer reading. But it has more to do with something that you think is external to you is really internal. So I know that the fives also indicate it's very minute, meaning even though you're over focusing on it and it is causing an interference, it is temporary. So that natural energy is returning and there is resilience here. Now we also have the energy. So the Hanged Man is also indicative of changing perspective around something. Again, more of a mental step. So there is something here about, releasing the over focus, the grief, the loss, the appointment, the shame, or the fixation on what you think is broken. And, it's not an external attacker. You're your own enemy here in this situation. So you're actually in that space of creating unnecessary fear with the moon card. I mean, I will say that you don't want to knock the process though, because that's what it takes to get you to the other side of something. It's okay. It's just, also don't allow yourself to be stuck and traumatized by it. So it's kind of a subconscious loop that you're just reliving. It's confusion between what feels real and what actually is real. So whatever's happening right now, you're highly sensitive to the situation, but I also feel that further out here, you're going to see that it's not really a block, and whatever blockage you currently are experiencing, it's more of a psychological, nervous system based situation. So when you are in that space, that moon energy kind of freezes you. So, it's a waiting, internally holding, try to figure it out. The hangman, of course, is over focusing on something. Why isn't something working? Things of that sort. But it's a suspended sense of, feeling stuck. But do not fear, because the bottom deck indicates that you are in, that's the energy that is coming in over all of it. So that one actually indicates that Eight of Cups is walking away from the emotional fixation. So it is where there's more, you're releasing whatever shame is associated, whatever pressure. You're just kind of giving into it, refocusing on something else, to kind of pull yourself away from whatever isn't working. You're going to focus on the things that do still work there. So the nervous system starts to feel safe again, and then that's when things start to change. It's not really a fixed date on when it ends, because it's more along the lines of a gradual release of things. So it's, you're releasing the fear, the grief, the hyper focus, by softening it, and then it's a gradual release from there. So you don't resolve everything through confrontation or force. You just stop giving it a lot of attention and refocus in another direction, where you do have something that you can start to come to other grips with. You're basically, you're trying not to fight or stop something. You're in that you're in a frozen state right now about something, but I feel like you are, or you could also get assistance in finding ways to remove the pressure, remove the focus, remove that shame, find safety in your body and your belief systems again, by letting the issue not be the center of your attention. So that's what I want to just repeat there. Because right now I think your nervous system is kind of stuck in protection mode. So your mind is kind of linked with that fear or the loss or whatever that is for you. But really what's happening is your body, your mind is trying to find a way to feel safe again. You just haven't figured out how to do that yet. But there's plenty of out there. There's meditation, there's refocusing on physicality, exercising or whatever, different things, creative modes. You can't force something else away. You need to just take your hands off the wheel and focus on something else that you have an interest in, that is just as important. And believe it or not, the rest of that other situation is going to reset in its own way. It's because you're hyper focusing on it that you're not able to find the solution. So you can't force it away, and you don't need to. It's more about just be vigilant, and it's healing. Everything is healing in its own way, but again, you have to just ground in another way, ground doing something else. So there's also a few other cards here that I pulled, that have to do with sort of also what you're currently engaging in. So right now I see the Seven of Swords here, and that one also indicates that there is kind of, this can be sneaky energy, but I feel in the case of all of the other energies around it, that it's more along the lines of a difficulty that you're quietly dealing with. It's not really openly acknowledged. It's more about avoidance, secret, hidden, that kind of thing. So kind of holding back about something, not really sure how to, or haven't been sure how to sort of move ahead with it. But the other part of it is with the Knight of Swords. This is also that energy of fast moving energy. So there's a lot of mental pressure, a lot of urgency, or you feel there's a sense of urgency. And that could be where the stress, the anxiety, and all of that stuff is building. And it's more of a rushed attempt rather than a relaxed, natural sort of state of dealing with things. So, like I said, a lot of the cards here show that you have resilience because that's what the Seven of Wands is. But it also is an indicator that, despite whatever it is you're going through, there's no resistance, but there's also a struggle against the obstacles. So basically your own fears or those internal blocks. So something along that line. You are struggling, but you have a defensive sort of position around whatever this is. But I will say that there is a sense of cooperation, a sense of realigning yourself into developing a new skill, more of a body mind guidance support sort of energy here. And things are you're mastering whatever the situation is, or mastering something that is to help guide you out of this. So I feel overall, because the Three of Pentacles is really that final card out here, the Seven of Swords did show that something was hidden or withheld and that you're having difficulty with it, but it's not permanent and it's definitely something minor. It is more of an internal energy of struggle. But I definitely feel like sorry, I'm just slightly adjusting the camera there. But I still feel like the stress or the pressure, like I said, is your own mental tension around a situation. So you feel anxious and, therefore the rest of your body kind of shuts down and you're in freeze mode. But I still feel like this is the most encouraging card here, as well as the Empress and all the rest of it, because you're in the World card. These are all showing a cycle. Whatever this is, it's about to resolve. Timeline's going to vary a little bit for all of you because you're not all making decisions on a Wednesday or a Friday or whatever, but it definitely feels like, and again, support systems, all of those things matter. Some of you have more of a support system. You were able to break your own mind pattern and deal with more issues where, you have more control over another area of your life. You're more creative, you're doing more reading or whatever it is, you're kind of able to reset a little differently. So that time frame matters for each of you. It's all going to be different. And hi, Nova Sharma. I could do a quick question at the end of this as well. For others, I can do donation and stuff, but I'll do like a quick answer for a question that you have if you're interested. But I'll do it right at the end here. But the Three of Pentacles, again, is still an indicator of a larger role here. So the stress and the pressure, the Knight of Swords, and that Seven of Wands, and that mental tension, and that resistance, kind of energy is more about, something feels shut down, but there is a potential for resolution because the Three of Pentacles is where you actually have conscious attention. There's more of an understanding or a guidance to overcome the challenge. And so because of that, that mastery can be developed and results achieved with careful effort and collaboration. So like I said, more of it's even possibly more self-awareness because the on its card, the Empress was out there as well. So I still feel like there is an emotional release, or, maybe something here about, talking yourself down or with somebody, that kind of thing, which helps you to, lessen the load on you. But either way, the difficulty is only, it's somehow only a partial situation. Like it's not as grave as you're thinking that it is. It's not permanent. It's something that you're moving through. And again, the mental pressure, the stress, the internal resistance, even though they're contributing to that freeze mentality, I still see the path is to regain, full, how do I say, full access to whatever it is that completely, making you feel like it's beyond your control. So either way, I feel like there is a path here showing me that it's nurturing your mind, your body connection, and that's going to reduce the stress and it'll allow a natural process, I think, to just align. And again, that alignment is an internal blockage. It's not external. So there's not anything externally wrong. It's not an external force that's, really blocking you. It's you. So again, because of the mind, being the issue here, again, the best advice really with that Moon card and the Hangman, shows me that, you need a calm, safe sort of environment to kind of work through things. No pressure, no expectation, really focusing on your breath. Inhale, for 4 breaths, or hold for 4, and then exhale for 4, and then hold for 4 again. But deep breathing, or what that one was is box breathing, help to release some of the tension. So there's relaxing routines, that you can do before you go into whatever it is that's blocking you, so that you have a better sense of control. Again, the shift of your attention away from the problem is what the Eight of Cups was. And again, the advice is avoid overthinking or obsessing about, how things have to look. There's definitely something that will bring you joy and flow a little further out. Once you refocus, that's going to take some control for sure, but it's creative projects, exercise, nature, hobbies, whatever it is for you that you enjoy. But focus on that, and the rest is going to automatically help you to go forward. So mindfulness, meditation, grounding exercises, naming five things in the room if you're overly anxietied, and trying to identify with what's current, not what's blocking you, because the emotional blockage, like I said, is just an unresolved grief or about something that's an internal struggle. So again, it's more about the energy will flow naturally when your mind releases. So you want to talk gently to yourself, and sort of express things in a way that will help you to grow. As a matter of fact, I think that's true for all things. Do things that help you to grow, do things that help you to expand. Doesn't have to be something about failure or success. It's about learning about yourself and what you like and dislike, and then that way everything else sort of falls in place. So again, your best advice is focus on the internal empowerment. Don't fight yourself and all those imagined forces that you think are blocking you. It's more about putting your energy and spending it on things that heal you or help you or be more positive, because that energy otherwise is just lost in worry, and that is not helpful. So again, create safety, relaxation. Don't fixate on what the problem is, with nature and natural energies, mindfulness, anything that grounds you, creative, all of that. And then those emotional blocks will just kind of gently fall away, and then your confidence will grow in small steps. So stop focusing on the external interference, because internal, and again, focus on, your internal sovereignty. So think along that line. And I want to say, when they talk about alignment and coherence, there is something there that I think sometimes the general terms are a little hard to sort of follow. But I think that applies in this situation, because alignment and coherence is where your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your energy are in agreement with one another. So this is where your true self or your purpose or a goal, finding a cause, something like that, becomes a compass. And then you sort of align yourself with that. And then you start to see patterns where there's little inner pointers, and then they sort of all kind of point to the same direction. If you have a lot of interest in a certain way, sometimes people think they're all scattered, but they're actually a lot of times entwined together. You just don't see the connections. So just follow a path, and then you'll see how everything else aligns. But again, if you're in alignment, again, your decisions, your feelings, your actions feel more natural, effortless, and more authentic. So it's really about finding the most authentic version of you, and that comes when you're in flow. So that's when the decisions feel easier, everything's less forced. You're acting from your core values, you're not just reacting to outside pressures, those kinds of things. And I just feel like you'll feel a lot more balanced. And again, coherence is again that interaction of all the internal systems, the mind, body, heart, and energy. They all work together in a rhythm. So there's something here that needs to sync, as in SYNC, not SINK. Anyway, everything is really an orchestra. So it's more of an instrument that plays together, and then it becomes more clear, and then everything starts to move forward. So your thoughts and your emotions have to be consistent, make the inner confident voice a lot smaller, and then you see your body, your heart, and your mind start to synchronize. And then again, there's something here about your energy will start to smooth out, and it won't be so scattered and blocked, because I feel like that's sort of where you are. So in summary, alignment is about direction that you're moving toward. What's your true path? What is in line with who you really are? Coherence is about the integration of, all the parts that are in agreement, and everything working together. So you can be aligned but not coherent. You know your path, but you feel scattered internally. And you can also be coherent but not aligned. So all the parts of you work well together, but in a direction that isn't truly yours. They're helping other people live their dreams or whatever. So the best state is to be aligned and coherent, clear, empowered, and then it's just effortless flow. And I feel like in your case, it's more of a misalignment of the body and the mind. You're resisting releasing some of the self-talk. So again, that puts the nervous system and your emotions out of sync. And so you want to restore the alignment and the coherence. That's what allows natural function and everything to flow again. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And I'm just going to do that last question there for Nova Sharma. Did you have a question that you wanted to ask that was something? I'm just going to pull the cards away here for a second. Sorry, did you have a question? Or should I just do a general question here? General, what are you going through? Okay, let's just do, what are you generally going through? And this is for Nobit Sharma. What is Nobit Sharma going through? And how do we resolve this? What is the current energy around that? Oh, very optimistic, very good. And it looks like it's something about either business or money. Oh, wait a second, sorry. What's the Three of Swords here? Okay, maybe there's a family issue of some sort or something around a commitment. Somebody who feels like family. That is what I see there. Okay, so I feel like somebody has money, and this could be an issue around money or a child. But things are still looking pretty good. So what I want to say here is what's going on for Nobit Sharma is King of Pentacles, the Sun, Three of Swords, Ten of Pentacles, the Hierophant. Bottom of the deck is Three of Wands. So this is definitely an issue where there's some kind of conflict or heartbreak around or dealing with like residual love because the main card out is the King of Pentacles. So all right. So what I'm going to say here is overall, I feel like you're still in a really good position. I do feel like there is something about stability, security being at the forefront here. There is a maturity or dealing with somebody who is a mature person, doesn't have to be male or female. And again, this is for Nobama, and I feel like this is a relationship situation. So somebody's grounded and dependable, practical in the way they deal with things, and someone is kind of holding it together externally, even if things are feeling internally conflicted. Now, the Sun does indicate there's some sense of optimism or potential success in a situation, but it's overshadowed by some kind of a tension here with the Three of Swords. So this is either heartbreak or emotional pain or conflict, but it does show some kind of lingering sadness around a situation or hurt from a past relationship. And I'm strongly seeing, feels like it could be past relationship or Taurus energy, but it's definitely somebody who's considered more family, long-term legacy, stability, things around that energy. But family comes pretty strong, but it's a financial issue, I feel, that's tied to this. Intergenerational dynamic of some sort, but there's also some level of tradition, commitment, social structure with the Hierophant. But I definitely feel like overall, there's an indication of a marriage or societal expectation to, where there's rules around a relationship, something of that sort. But I feel like it's still looking forward kind of energy. Despite the situation, I feel like you're operating from a place of responsibility, practicality, and status, but you're trying to prioritize stability over your emotions. And I feel like that's where you've got an internal conflict. So something around, a heartbreak or a disappointment or a residual love or something that's affecting you. Could be a past relationship or betrayal, something of that sort. But I feel like there's a family expectation where there's long-term plans that are going to influence your decision, because the Hierophant is that card of, there's also that feeling where you're torn between what's expected, commitment, family, tradition, and what your heart actually wants. So there's something here about your choice or your actions are influenced by family or tradition, long-term security. But I still think that the potential for getting clear on what it is and finding joy in the situation is there. I feel like you're integrating or you're acknowledging something. You're able to move forward with that Three of Wands energy. So there is something here that tells me you're already figuring it out. And I just feel like you almost need to emotionally process it first. I think that's where you are. So bottom line is, I feel like you're going to choose practical stability versus an emotional longing. So whatever this is, or however that means, whatever that means to you, hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity or understanding. So that's for you, Nobit Sharma. And hi, Michael, Christopher, and hello again, Andrea. Thank you, and the hearts. But yeah, so that's what I have for you guys. Keep moving forward. Never give up. It's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be. And have